If you're a Muslim who wants to be a content creator, then go to Muslim Influencer Academy, where we have a full A to Z course on how to create content, masterclasses done by Jani Hakikachu and the Sunnah Guy, and weekly calls for training and more. Just go to MuslimInfluencerAcademy.com to find out more and book a call if you're interested in joining. I flew out to Chicago to record with Eddie from The Dean Show. What most people don't know about Eddie is that he's actually a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. Not only that, but he learned under the man who put Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on the map, Royce Gracie, who also accepted Islam recently, so shout out to him. So I decided to challenge myself and do something I've never done before. Train a martial art with a black belt and then fight him.
Wow. How long have you been training for?
Since the late 90s.
Wow. Before I was born.
Royce Gracie is one of the most influential MMA fighters in history because he would beat guys twice his size. Rorion Gracie, who founded the UFC, chose Royce Gracie to represent Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu since he was smaller and could demonstrate how the martial art could work for a smaller fighter against bigger opponents.
He will not like this.
Eddie received his blue belt from Royce Gracie and then later went on to receive his black belt from Carlos Gracie Jr. in 2005, when I was 5 years old. So now I'm going to learn directly from Eddie. He's going to take me through some common fight scenarios to get me ready, and then at the end we're going to fight to see how much I truly learned.
Okay, let's warm up. It's real important warming up before you train at any time. Brother yesterday, he's the imam at a masjid, a young guy, and he trained here before, but then he got injured. So how'd you get injured? He watched some UFC or something, and then afterward he got pumped up and he hit the bench press.
Oh.
And he just put a bunch of weight, and he tore his pec.
Oh my God.
Did you warm up? No. That's how injuries usually happen.
Yeah.
Not warmed up.
And just like that, we start our training. Now, one of the important lessons Eddie taught me was you don't want to talk yourself into confrontation. You want to be able to talk yourself out of confrontation and only fight if you absolutely have to. And since sometimes you do actually have to fight, I thought it would be great if we could get started with a common takedown.
I'm going to jab.
Yeah.
Cross. Now when I bring it back, the idea here is to get the person's focus up here. Then you're going to lower the level, and from here I'm going to push off of my back leg, penetrate in the middle, and get the takedown. So from here, nice and slow. 1, 2, lower your level. Yes. Okay, from here I want you to keep your head right here. Yes. And now go ahead. Yes, sir. Yes.
I felt the difference when I was on the inside versus the outside.
So I practiced this takedown a few times, and after a few attempts, I began to get the hang of it. So we decided to move on to the most common fight scenario, which is the street headlock.
Confrontation happens. Now the person doesn't know much, but he knows if I can control your head, I control your body, and then I can go ahead and take control of the situation. So we're going to work one variation of headlock. And this is something that's practical that's going to happen. The person grabs your head. Okay, you grab mine. So from here, I'm always aware that at any time if the person goes to throw a punch, I'm going to go ahead and trap the arm. But let's say he just keeps it tight. He's just controlling here.
Yeah.
So what you're going to do is I'm going to do it on you, then you'll do it on me. So hold it tight. If it's just a loose headlock, I'm just going to get my head out, right? But usually it's tight. I can't just get it out.
Yeah.
And what I never want to do is, and I've actually seen this, where the guy turns his head like this.
Oh.
And then the guy on top, he's just continuing to crank and choke.
Yeah.
And then the guy ends up passing out. And then God knows what else happened till later. From here, look, 1, 2.
Okay.
All right.
Arm back.
So 1, 2. And now my back leg is going to step away. And I take him down.
Okay.
From here, try to pull me over. I put the brakes. Step over. He continues to hold.
Yeah.
Hold. The whole time I can sit. If we're punching on the street, I can punch.
This was the worst feeling thing in the world. Having the arm against my neck, I genuinely could not stop him from just easily breaking the headlock grip. And then this was the second worst feeling thing in the world, having my jaw pressed against the floor like this. But I could see why this would be effective in a street fight. And then he goes ahead and finishes with an arm bar. Now it's my turn. He puts me in a headlock, and I have to admit I was a little bit worried about remembering all the steps, but Eddie was instructing me as I was doing it, so it was pretty smooth. One thing about Jiu-Jitsu is since it's a lot of leverage, you can really feel the difference between having your foot or your hand in one position as opposed to another. Like here, my foot was out, and then he tells me bring my foot closer in, which helps me stabilize so I can continue with the rest of the moves. And then I go ahead and try and do what he did, and it works kind of. And try and go for the arm bar, and I slip a little bit. It takes a little bit to get used to it. But then I practiced a few times as always. I got better and better as I went. And then after the third try, I pretty much had it down.
Easy, yes.
I can't include all the training in this video, so if you want to see the full training session, then become a TDM Premium Member because it will be exclusively featured on there. So after training for about an hour and going through many scenarios, now it's time for me and Eddie to fight. So I immediately go for an armbar, which to no one's surprise completely fails and ends up with Eddie on top. But then I put my knee between us to create space just like he taught me. Then he helps out and gives me a little tip.
Put me back in the guard.
So I do exactly that, and you know what happened? Nothing. I still lost, and let's just forget this ever happened and move on to round 2. Okay, so round 2 starts off strong with me holding him, so he doesn't have much room to work, and I can tire him out. Of course, I have him in guard, so I know he's not going anywhere. But then he makes me break my grip, and my legs kind of fall, and he immediately goes and grabs my ankle, which I didn't know was a move. He didn't teach me this part. And then he steps over to completely bypass my guard. So now again, he's broken my guard, and I don't exactly know what to do. But again, I put my knee between us to create space and I put him back in guard. I must say I'm pretty proud of myself because I got us back in the same position. I'm holding his head and I'm keeping him tight so he can't move too much or cause too much damage. He starts breaking away, so then I grab his arm to try and pull him back in. But then he does the same thing that he did last round. He moves my leg, so I end up losing my leverage, and then he puts me in this weird position where he has his arm between my legs, so both my legs are completely like paralyzed, and he's just laying on top watching me burn gas and get tired. He then transitions into full mount and is back on top, but this time I can't put him in guard because he's past my hips. But then I remember something he taught me.
Bridge up and over. Yes, go. Yes, sir.
So with a few pointers from Eddie, I was able to lift him up, push him off, and reverse the situation. So now I'm on top and I am in control. Or so I thought. Because like it's absolutely nothing, he does the same thing back to me and I'm back on the bottom. Now this part undoubtedly was the funniest moment throughout the entire session because we get close to the end of the mat. So Eddie just kind of picks me up and moves me back towards the center, and then we continue fighting. So this time he actually pins my arm down so I can't really move it, and then worse, he puts his knee on top of it so I'm completely paralyzed. But then he goes and he puts his other leg on my other arm. And as you could see, this is probably the worst position anyone could be in a fight. So here was Eddie's advice to me.
Get your arms out and bring them in. Don't keep them out.
So realizing that's probably the right move, I do that. And then he immediately puts me in a submission hold and chokes me out.
You feel that?
Yeah.
So this round begins with me getting tripped while I'm on the floor. I don't know how that makes sense either. But then here I feel pretty confident because I have good control over the situation. He moves into side mount and it's nothing too dangerous yet, but I can feel with every movement he's trying to impede further. I keep moving back, trying to keep control of his arm so he can't move further. And so I don't give up too much space. But ultimately, as always, he finds a way. So here he's in side mount and decides to end this flop of a round with a very instructive moment, teaching me how the heck to get out of the situation that I put myself in. And with the end of this round, that concludes our entire training session.
SubhanAllah. You're a machine, Eddie.
So as you guys could tell, I did not beat any black belt, nor will I anytime soon, even though Eddie was probably only going 1%, maybe 5% max. But this was a great experience because I learned about jiu-jitsu, and it reminded me of the importance of Muslim men knowing how to fight and defend themselves. So inshallah, I'm gonna take up jiu-jitsu at a local gym. Huge shout out and thank you to Eddie and the whole Deen Show team for being so hospitable and providing this amazing experience. And for everybody at home watching, let me know if I should fight Faraz Zahabi next. If you're a Muslim who wants to be a content creator, then go to Muslim Influencer Academy, where we have a full A to Z course on how to create content, masterclasses done by Jani Hakikachu and the Sunnah Guy, and weekly calls for training and more. Just go to MuslimInfluencerAcademy.com to find out more and book a call if you're interested in joining.